I remember the day I moved to Maplewood, New Jersey. It was a quaint little town with tree-lined streets, cheerful neighbors, and a sense of community that made me feel like I belonged. I was 32 years old and ready to start anew after a tough few years. I found a charming two-bedroom home that fit my budget, and I filled it with all my favorite things. I loved my life here, or at least I did until I met my neighbor, Ron. Ron was the kind of guy who thought rules were merely suggestions. He believed that the universe revolved around him. He was loud, brash, and had an inflated sense of self-importance. Not the kind of neighbor you hope to have when moving to a peaceful neighborhood, but there I was, stuck with him. It started innocently enough. I would pull into my driveway after a long day at work and there it was, Ron's silver sedan, cruddy and crusty, blocking my way. Initially I thought, okay, maybe he didn't mean to. But as the days turned into weeks, this became a pattern. I would often come home to find Ron's car comfortably planted in front of my driveway, as if it were part of the landscaping. I approached him on multiple occasions. I made friendly conversation, with an underlying edge of frustration, pointing out that he continuously blocked my driveway. His response was always a relaxed, "Oh, I am just here for a bit," as if that magically made everything okay. A bit felt like 3 to 5 hours if he was feeling generous with his time. Each time I would leave our conversation feeling defeated and irritated. What was once a peaceful life started to turn into an ongoing battle, my patience thinning like the last layer of paint on my porch railing. I decided to take action. I wrote polite notes suggesting he should not park in front of my driveway, citing town ordinances, with polite reminders of the inconvenience it caused. Silence. I tried reasoning with him, but it fell on deaf ears. It was as if I was speaking to a wall. The last straw came when I returned home one evening after a long day at work only to find Ron's car parked in front of my driveway again. This time, he was inside, cleaning himself up, putting on cologne and gearing up for a night out. I could see him through the window, preening himself like a peacock. At that moment, something snapped inside me. I was done with being pushed around by this inconsiderate neighbor. I pulled out my phone and called a towing service. Yes, I had finally found my moment of empowerment. This was the perfect opportunity to take my revenge. No more warnings, no more polite notes. I was determined to teach him a lesson. "Yes, he is blocking my driveway," I explained to the operator. "I want him towed immediately." I could feel the adrenaline coursing through my veins as I pictured Ron's reaction when he noticed his beloved car was being hoisted away. About 45 minutes later, I was sitting on my porch, a cold beer in my hand, waiting for the show to unfold. I was giddy with anticipation, feeling like a general watching over a battlefield. Then I saw her. A girl walked down the sidewalk, clearly dressed for a date with Ron, wearing a lovely floral dress that twirled gently around her legs in the evening breeze. She approached his door, knocking with a confident tap. I stifled a laugh as Ron appeared, all smiles and charm, ready to impress. But as soon as he stepped outside, that smile faded faster than a sunset. He looked around, searching for his silver sedan, only to be met with an empty space where once stood his vehicular pride and joy. It was a glorious sight. He began looking around like someone had robbed him. I took a swig of my beer, savoring the taste of sweet revenge. That is when I casually shouted, "If you are looking for your car, it got towed. You were blocking my driveway." Again. He turned toward me, his face a mix of confusion and anger. He opened his mouth, ready to throw some excuse my way. But the girl beside him had a different reaction. As Ron began to stutter an explanation, she said with a sharp tone, "Wait, you parked in front of his driveway?" Her brows furrowed in disbelief. He started explaining, trying to make himself out as the victim, but before he could finish his thought, she interrupted him. "Wow, that is trash," she shot back. Then she turned on her heel and walked away, leaving Ron standing there with his mouth agape. It was a moment of pure poetic justice. I could hardly contain my laughter, and the sound of it echoed in the evening air. I had never seen Ron turn so many shades of red. I glanced at him from my porch, feeling a rush of satisfaction overtake me. For the first time since I had moved to Maplewood, I felt victorious. I had fought back, and while I did not intend to ruin his date, I savored the thought of him learning a lesson about respect and the consequences of his actions. Since that day, Ron had not blocked my driveway, not once. There were no more notes, no more tense conversations. He had learned his lesson, and the neighborhood felt a little quieter and more peaceful. Time passed, and life went on. I enjoyed my evenings out on the porch, sipping my beer and enjoying the wonderful sights and sounds of the community, with Ron now keeping a respectful distance from my driveway. Then one day, about a month later, while I was watering my garden, I saw Ron jogging past. In an unexpected twist, he offered a half-hearted wave. I stood there, shocked and confused. Had he actually changed? I waved back, not sure how to feel about it. His face had an expression that seemed to say he finally realized the importance of being courteous. But old habits die hard, and I was not going to let my guard down so easily. I continued to keep a close eye on the driveway, just in case. My sense of satisfaction wavered a little, but I was proud of my courage in taking action. Sometimes, revenge can lead to unexpected outcomes, like the potential for reconciliation. I chuckled, considering how it had turned out. I had found my voice in the process, and while the initial act of revenge was sweet, perhaps it had also steered him toward becoming a better person. While I continued enjoying my peaceful life in Maplewood, I decided I would be ready next time if Ron tested my patience again. But for now, things were good. And perhaps, just perhaps, the taste of revenge was best served cold, accompanied by a healthy dose of hope for what could come next.